The first of our four commitments means that we at Kehillah hold unequivocally that Black lives matter. As educators and as Americans, we are dismayed by the long patterns of race-based brutality in the United States. Our hearts break at the traumatic deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Cusseau, Laquan McDonald, George Mann, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Rumain Brisbane, Jerame Reed, Matthew Ajibaid, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Alexia Christian, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel LaRosa, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DuBose, Michael Sabbie, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Ashams Pharaoh Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jameer Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tigner, Miguel Espinal, Michael Knoll, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Quintonio Legrier, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antroni Scott, Wendell Celestine, David Joseph, Kaylin Roquemore, Dijon Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Trujillo, DeMarcus Semmer, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Sylville Smith, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Rennell Foster, Stephon Clark, Antoine Rose II, Botham Jean, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Tatiana Jefferson, Christopher Whitfield, Christopher McCorvey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Amadou Diallo, and Trayvon Martin, whose names join the seemingly endless list of Black lives cut short unjustly by state violence and structural racism. Kehillah stands in solidarity with members of the Black community and all marginalized groups against this pernicious, racially motivated targeting and mistreatment reminiscent of persecution all too familiar to Jewish history. We must stand together. Communities of color are clearly in pain, and Jewish values call on us to stand up as allies. The story of Hebrew enslavement in Egypt culminates in an admonition, a moral imperative repeated numerous times in the Torah to let the memory of past persecution guide our actions. Exodus chapter 23, verse 9 commands, V'ger lo tilchatz, v'atem yadatem et nefesh hager, ki gerim heyitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. You shall not oppress the stranger, for you know the feelings of the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. We call on the members of our community, students, teachers, families, to live up to the admonition in Exodus to see and hear the feelings of those unjustly treated as strangers in their own land, and then to actively work towards dismantling the pervasive structures of racism in our country. The fourth of our four commitments calls on each of us to take responsibility, in this case for doing our utmost to learn, to empathize, to acknowledge the justified outrage of marginalized and persecuted people and to support the cause of social justice and pursue tikkun olam, a repaired world. As a school, education is our primary task, and education is an important part of building a more equitable society. But we also recognize that education alone is not enough to enact lasting change. Now is the time for every one of us to contribute with meaningful action. The steps we each take towards social justice will look different from person to person and even conversation to conversation. For those in our community unsure where to begin, we will be sharing resources with you tomorrow by email to help you connect to the larger conversation and determine how you can best work to undo the structures of racism and inequality in our society. As Anne Marie, a Holocaust survivor who spoke to Kehillah students over Zoom, recently reminded us, living out never again means standing up to make sure that the oppression of any group cannot endure. We call on every member of this, our beloved Kehillah, to speak up and be part of the solution, because a more equitable future demands hard work from us all. Thank you for your ongoing support for this beloved community, and please take care of each other. Shalom.